When I was growing up, one of the best feelings in the world was when I would set up my own fishing rod, go out with my dad and friends, and be able to catch a fish on something that I put together. Um, it wasn't until I guess my junior year in high school where I found the sport of fly fishing. Um, Fly fishing took it to a whole other level of accomplishment because not only were you casting something that you put together, but it was also almost an art form that you learn to appreciate because of the difficulty it is to represent a fly as a live bug, for example. Um, I'm going to go over how you can get started with fly fishing. So we're going to go over where to find and how to find the best fly rod for you, the best place to find a good instructor or a place you can go to get tips, and also a good source of where you can go to practice or actually utilize fly fishing. One of the best things I can point out for you as far as finding the best fly rod for you would be going to a local fly shop. Um, I actually picked up a hand-me-down from my father, who actually never even touched his fly rod. He bought it and wasn't very interested after the fact. Um, but when I took that fly rod up to a local fly shop in Fort Worth, Texas, called Backwoods, my junior year, so that would be 2012, and I talked to Guillermo Gonzalez, who was a sales rep at the time there at Backwoods, and he basically pointed out the goods and bads of the fly rod that I had inherited. What I took away from that was awesome. He not only helped me get the right line or in flies, but also was there to guide me along the aspects of buying gear for fly fishing. So I would definitely, my advice would be to go to a fly shop or outdoors store and have them kind of get you on the right track. Um, Typically, they will tell you that fly rods are between 6 to 10 foot average. Um, they'll also point out that fly rods, the shorter, the harder they are to cast, but the shorter they are, the easier to cast in tighter spots, such as overhang trees or just bushes or trees to the next to you. So there's different goods and there's pros and cons to each, um, I guess, fly rod size. Another thing you want to point out whenever you're looking for a fly rod is what size fish or species of fish you are going after. Um, for bass or panfish, you could go with anything from a 1 weight to a 5 weight, and for salmon, like up here in Alaska, you could go with for probably an 8 at the very minimum to a 10 weight, maybe even an 11 weight. Um, but like I said, the best place to get information is probably going to a fly shop or outdoor sporting goods. Um, Another point I want to get across is where to find a good instructor. Again, in 2013, I finally had enough with trying to learn how to fly fish on my own. So I went back to Backwoods in Fort Worth, Texas, and talked to Guillermo Gonzalez, and this would be in 2013, uh, who was working part time there and also fishing kayak tournaments all around the state of Texas. But he basically gave me some free sessions on how to cast, and how to set the hook, just different tips and techniques for each style of fly fishing you can use at each spot. Um, so one of my biggest things would be to talk to someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to fly fishing to help you learn, because without the proper techniques, you can pretty much guarantee you're not going to catch any fish. You'll probably spook the fish more often and end up getting frustrated and drop the hobby. Um, another, another, and my last key point to this would be finding a good spot to practice and go actually catch fish. Um, in 2014, when I got up here to Alaska, I was talking to a friend of mine who is an avid fly fisherman, Andrew Long, and he makes videos and travels all over whenever he can, to make videos that he puts on the internet of him catching fish quite often. But he basically guided me throughout Alaska when I first got up here to give me the aspects of what to look for in a spot, and what time of day, and what fly to use, what kind of fly rod, how heavy, how light. Um, so as far as that goes, it depends on where in the country or world you're fly fishing, but it's always better to have a guide if you're just starting out in the area, or a local who knows some good spots that can maybe point out different aspects of where to catch fish in that region. Um, so one thing I could take away from this is basically getting into fly fishing is a good sport to get into, but also a good sport that makes you interact more with people. Makes you communicate and create lifelong friends who are willing to help you and kind of learn from each other once you all get to an equal, um, I guess, level of fly fishing.